You ever make a choice that looks smart on paper and then 3 Sundays in feel like you picked the wrong lottery ticket? That's Minnesota right now. They walked into the offseason with a clear choice, bet on the rookie with upside and a rookie contract, and walked out of the first third of the season wondering if the safe-looking plan actually slowed them down. J.J. McCarthy looked promising in week 1, but the body of work since has been thin, turnover-prone, and, frankly, messy. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, the two quarterbacks the Vikings let walk, are suddenly standing near the top of the league with teams that look like they belong in the conversation. That's a brutal comparison for any front office to swallow. Let's be blunt about the calculus. Minnesota didn't pick McCarthy because they wanted a short-term headline. They picked him because he's under rookie control for years, because his upside looked real in college, and because the math of the salary cap rewards developing a young quarterback. The idea is pragmatic. Buy cheap, coach hard, let the QB grow into the offense. But the NFL is impatient. You don't earn patience with potential. You earn it with tolerance for mistakes, plus signs of growth. McCarthy's tape lately hasn't given the team much evidence that the learning curve is sliding the right direction. Missed reads, holding the ball, turnovers. Those aren't tomorrow problems. They're today problems in November. That doesn't mean the Vikings were foolish. The franchise had 3 options: Darnold, Jones, McCarthy, and all 3 come with trade-offs. Darnold offered stability and a veteran's feel last year. Jones gave flashes of talent and arm power when he was healthy. McCarthy offered a long-term ceiling on a rookie contract. All are defensible choices in isolation. The issue is execution. If your offensive line is shaky, your playbook asks him to rewire how he plays, and he's missing practice reps through injury, then the choice becomes a bet on systems and medical luck as much as talent. That's a lot of moving parts for a young quarterback to navigate. Look at the scoreboard for evidence. Darnold in Seattle and Jones in Indianapolis both have their teams winning and looking competent. Wins aren't everything. Playoffs will test both. But winning matters. It keeps confidence high, it gives coaches breathing room, and it makes fans less likely to tear the building down. McCarthy's chart? Fewer touchdowns, more turnovers, worse passer rating, and a rookie record that tends to be unforgiving. Interceptions and sacks breed question marks. And when your team features a generational wideout in Justin Jefferson, you expect the offense to at least hum. Right now, it doesn't. So what's the fix? There are 4 practical moves Minnesota should consider right away. 1, simplify the offense. Young quarterbacks need fast reads, high percentage throws, and clear checkdowns. Rewiring neurological pathways doesn't sound glamorous in a press conference, but cutting the concept load for a few games buys reps and confidence. 2, protect him better. If injuries robbed McCarthy of practice reps, the team must prioritize keeping him upright. Quicker releases, slide protections, max pro formations when the situation allows. 3, scheme to hide the weakness and highlight strengths. Use RPOs, motion, play action, and designed rollouts that let McCarthy make decisions with his feet as a safety valve. 4, be honest about the timeline. Development is not automatic. It needs time, but it also needs a plan that the rest of the roster can support. If wins are required this season, the front office must weigh short-term fixes, a veteran stopgap, different game planning, or even a quarterback competition versus sticking to a longer arc. Now, the weird public comparison to Darnold and Jones stings because it's the simplest narrative TV can sell. They had other guys, they're doing well, we're not. But remember, both Darnold and Jones had to land in systems that fit them quickly. Jets, Colts, Seahawks, fit matters. The Vikings still have pieces. Justin Jefferson is a difference maker. The defense has talent under Brian Flores, and the roster is built to contend if the quarterback play stabilizes. The problem isn't talent, it's execution at the position that determines how that talent translates into wins. Week 12 is where narrative pressure accelerates into decisions. Matchups matter, and a few games this week will act like spotlights. Colts at Chiefs tests Daniel Jones against Patrick Mahomes in a defense that pushes elite standards. Browns at Raiders hands Shedeur Sanders his first start and gives Cleveland a real test of whether a rookie can manage a full game plan. Patriots at Bengals without Jamar Chase will shift matchups and force Cincinnati to live on complementary football. But the one that matters most for Minnesota's immediate future is Packers at Vikings. If McCarthy collapses against Green Bay's pressure and the team looks helpless, bench whispers become boardroom discussion points. If he shows growth, quicker reads, fewer turnovers, more balance, the narrative softens. Simple truth. This week doesn't give you the whole season, but it gives you a lot of answers. There's also the cap consideration. McCarthy is cost-controlled, and that mattered to the front office. But cap math only buys you time if the talent develops. If you burn that time with a series of avoidable losses, you've wasted both the fiscal leverage and the competitive window. That's the tricky piece. Cheap contracts are only valuable if they move you forward. Right now, that forward motion is stalling. What happens next depends on three stakeholders: coaches, who must decide whether to adapt the playbook; the front office, which must decide how much pressure to put on the staff to win now; and McCarthy himself, who must internalize the work and deliver weekly improvements. The smart bet is to measure progress in micro steps. Did his decision-making improve from game to game? Is the sack count dropping because of better reads or better protection? Are turnovers decreasing? If the answers trend positive, patience pays. If not, the Vikings will face a classic NFL question. Develop a quarterback over 2 years and maybe miss a season, or pivot now to give the team its best chance to win today. This is, in short, a fork in the road. Minnesota's decision to stick with McCarthy was defensible. It promised long-term upside and roster flexibility. But the NFL doesn't reward plausible plans, it rewards results. The coming weeks will say whether that choice was brilliant patience or an organizational misread. Either way, the team still has the pieces to reverse course. They just have to stop debating philosophies and start making the small, brutal changes that turn a promising young QB into a reliable one. Win a few, and the argument ends. Lose a few more, and the conversation finally becomes about replacement. One image to carry with you: a franchise holding up a rookie's helmet, squinting at the future like it's a math problem. The answer isn't glamorous. It's practice, protection, simplified decisions, and a scoreboard that begins to tilt in the right direction. If Minnesota gets those basics right, the choice to bet on J.J. McCarthy will look like strategy. If they don't, the what if. About Darnold and Jones will keep fans up all winter. You ever pick a cereal in the grocery aisle and 3 boxes later realize you've walked out with the wrong one? That's the vibe Minnesota might be feeling right now, except the stakes are 1,000 times bigger, and the cereal was a quarterback. They had 3 options: a veteran who won 14 games last year, a veteran they briefly kept around, and a rookie with a ton of hype. 2 of those guys are now winning elsewhere, and the third is struggling under a microscope. That's the awkward, loud question the Vikings are waking up to this week. StatMuse look. Choosing J.J. McCarthy wasn't a reckless move on paper. He's young, prototypical, and the kind of prospect teams dream about building around, the long-term play. But the NFL doesn't have much patience for long-term talk when you're playing today's games. McCarthy's early season has been a lesson in what happens when youth meets speed. Holding the ball too long, forced throws, mental mistakes under duress. He's been honest about it, talking openly about having to rewire neurological pathways as he adapts to a different style of play in the pros. That quote matters because it's not locker room spin. It's a rookie calling the difficulty what it is. If you want to help a rookie, that admission is the start of a plan. ESPN.com. And then there's the ugly comparison. Sam Darnold, who started in Minnesota last year, is running the Seahawks to a 7-3 look this season. Daniel Jones, who the Vikings briefly had on the roster, is 8-2 with the Colts and suddenly looks like a competent, playoff-ready bridge quarterback. Those aren't small details. They're proof that the other 2 options the Vikings walked away from are doing work in the league right now. That contrast makes fans and front office people squint and ask, did we pick the right flavor for this moment? StatMuse. Here's the cold truth. This isn't just a quarterback problem. It's an organizational moment. The McCarthy experiment isn't failing because he's inherently bad. It's struggling because the environment around him is fragile. Protection is leaky, the run game hasn't always moved the chains, and special teams have handed opponents cheap points. You don't develop an NFL rookie in a pressure cooker and expect perfection. You scaffold him. When that scaffold creaks or collapses, the quarterback gets blamed first because his name is on the jersey. That's both unfair and exactly how football operates. Coaches can change schemes, add quick reads, incorporate rollouts, but those fixes take time, and time is what the Vikings might be running short on if losses keep piling up. ESPN.com. Let's be brutally practical about options. The Vikings can do one of two things: stay the course or make a change. Staying the course means accepting short-term embarrassment for the chance at long-term upside. Keep McCarthy, protect him better, simplify the reads, and measure progress in weeks and tape, not headlines.